Well, we've had some nice autumn weather to look forward to over the next couple of days before rain comes in for part of the weekend anyway. We'll be taking a look at what's going on right now, the rest of the week, the weekend, and we will peek into the long range. And that is what is in store for you tonight on this Tuesday, the 17th of October, 2023, the 1100th and something time that we are doing the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, in southwest Suffolk County on beautiful Long Island. And they've got mulch, topsoil, and sand. And of course, come this winter, you're going to need salt to get rid of all the snow we're going to get. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number. They have the best prices in town. The website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
Tempest by Weather Flow, Joe. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system, and you too can join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptors of this video. So if you use the referral link, and we do get a little bit of a commission, they pay it, you don't. Use the coupon code I want a weather station, and it makes a great Christmas gift. And if you do use the coupon code, Joe, what do they get?
They will get a big 10% off, believe it.
Yes, they will. Oh, look at this. You've got a new look. This, you know who's going to be happy about that?
Who?
Ruben Fairchild, who told us that we need a new set. He appeared. He appeared for 5 seconds, just to tell us that we need a new set.
Well, this isn't a new set. It's just simply a different camera angle.
Well, he's probably out right now buying us a studio. Anyway, how was your day today?
Boring. I did absolutely nothing.
Okay. Well, I was saying off camera, doing nothing is good sometimes. Not every day, but every once in a while, it's just throw caution to the wind and, just not do anything.
Yeah, I didn't even want to. I spent most of my time upstairs. I usually spend a lot of time during the day down here in my office, but I decided today I just didn't want to be in the office. So
good. Well, that's a good thing. I baked 2 more loaves of bread today, and I saved a small piece for myself, and I gave away the rest. So I'm a happy camper. You have contacts on tonight?
Do I have what?
You don't have your glasses.
Oh, well, I could wear my glasses if you'd like.
Oh, I know. I thought maybe you wore contacts.
No, I don't wear contacts. But now, when I wear the glasses at this angle, you could see that the light shining down from above is shining on the glass or whatever. So,
well, I'm sure the executive producer will be making the necessary corrections for the lighting in order for you to look as beautiful as you usually look.
Sure, she will.
All right. On that note, welcome to everybody on the chat. Well, James Davison even noticed it too. He says he wanted to know where. Oh, he said, where are the glasses? Referring to Bill. I don't know why. Who's Bill? Maybe I'm just not understanding that. Anyway, welcome to everybody on the chat board to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show. Nice to see all the regulars on board. And I know a number of people, Joe, have messaged me to let me know that they lurk in the background.
There are a lot of people who lurk in the background.
Yes, they do. Yes, well, we like you, whether you lurk or you're on the chat board. We're happy you're here. If you're new to my YouTube channel, subscribe to it and hit the like button if you like the Joe and Joe Weather Show, because we are on Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. We're off Fridays and Saturdays, and letting everybody know ahead of time there will be no show this Sunday. We're going to be taking a long weekend because you know what, Joe? Pretty soon we're not going to be able to take those long weekends when snow season gets going.
I don't know. We've gotten to the point now where I'm beginning to think now that whenever you mention Saturday, you're going to have some sort of precipitation. Maybe by the time we get to later November, that rain will change to snow. I don't know, but
we'll see. In the meantime, it's another Wednesday and Thursday that look pretty good. Today was another one of those self-destructive sunshine type of days. Although I will tell you this, I had a little bit more sun today. And for the second night in a row, in the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina and in the mountains in eastern Tennessee above 5,000 feet. Some places got like 3 or 4 inches of snow. So that's a good sign for me down here in beautiful North Georgia. I may get my first snow before you do.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at
No.
all.
But you've got 2 good days coming up for tomorrow and Thursday, I think. Especially Thursday. To me, that looks like the better. They both should be good days, but Tuesday might be just a little bit better.
You mean the Thursday, not Tuesday?
I'm sorry. Did I say Tuesday? I meant Thursday. Thursday.
Yes.
Thursday would be a little bit better than tomorrow, Wednesday.
Just like post cereal.
Yes,
They're a
pretty
little bit
much.
better.
And it does look like we're going to have to deal with rain for part of the weekend. Although unless there's something on Sunday with instability clouds and maybe some pop-up stuff from the cold air aloft in the upper trough, the models aren't really showing it right now. But I think there's always that chance. Saturday will be I'm getting my days mixed up here. Saturday will be the wetter day, and Sunday will definitely be the drier day.
And that's how it's been really for the last 6 or 7 weeks. That Saturday has been the not so nice of the two weekend days. We go into it with kind of dreary conditions, and then on Sunday it's kind of like we're working our way out of the hole, so to speak. So
Right, and this is not going to be a big rain event. I don't think this is anything that we have to worry about as far as flooding is concerned. I mean, it kind of looks like showery rains. Maybe some stuff sneaks in on Friday, and then maybe a little bit more numerous Friday night, and for at least part of Saturday. Well, maybe more than just a part of Saturday dayside, anyhow. It doesn't look like this is going to be a mega inch producer by any means.
no, it's and I already had on Facebook today. Somebody had written. So I heard in some other quarters that there was a chance for a nor'easter on Saturday. What say you? And I didn't say anything. I just
Sometimes
rolled
it's
my eyes
yeah.
in the back of
Sometimes
my head.
it's better to remain silent.
Yes, and I was silent today.
All right, but we can't be silent here for the usual 1 hour that we do our show. We have to talk. So, um, on to the surface map, shall we?
Surely.
And there is not too much here on the. I think I got this was the 21Z. Did I refresh the 21Z map? And it's still this upper trough. I mean, you look at the surface, got this big high sitting in Tennessee, and you think, okay, well, weather should be great, but unfortunately, with that upper trough today, I mean, it wasn't quite as bad. I don't think it was quite as cloudy as yesterday. We actually did break out into some sunshine this second. Went mostly sunny here during this afternoon, which was really nice. But after yesterday, my God, it didn't get out of the 40s. It got to 50 for about 10 minutes. I spent the whole day in the 40s. Got to 39 this morning. I think we got to 57 or 8 this afternoon. And tomorrow, with the upper trough gone, and there's still a lot of distance between here and the next system, which is actually the low center with the system is still up in Canada. The fronts extend down through the Dakotas and also back through Montana. So this buys time here. That Wednesday and Thursday should be fine.
Yes, although Thursday, indeed, I agree with you that we're going to have the best day of the lot on Thursday. But while it starts out sunny, I think that later in the day on Thursday, we already will begin to see clouds rolling in ahead of the next unsettled weather system, which may bring precipitation our way for Friday and most certainly Friday night and Saturday.
I won't argue with you on that. And to check out, I accidentally deleted the loop. Hold on a second. Let's get the satellite loop back up and show what's going on here. Here we go. Come on, continental U.S. True colors. Blah blah blah. I've been doing 72 frames, and it's loading. Oh boy, it's loading. So this loop goes back to about 1 o'clock this afternoon on the first frame, and you see the clouds that did develop, and it was actually quite overcast in the through the Appalachians and into parts of the Ohio Valley. But again, this upper trough is starting to pivot to the east, and you can also see the next weather front that I just mentioned. You see the clouds that extend through North and South Dakota, back into northern Colorado, and the swirl that's with that, and then you've got some energy in the Pacific Northwest. But much of the country today really had a pretty nice day.
Yeah, yesterday I had a few, a couple of showers. One shower in particular lasted for about 5 minutes. It was gusty. We had 2/100ths of an inch of rain. Did not get any precipitation today, but here in Putnam Valley, there were times when it looked rather ominous, and then the sun broke through, and we had some blue sky, and then it got ominous again. But we did not. It wasn't quite as adverse today as it was yesterday.
On the lower left, I believe that's Tropical Storm Norma. Let's just check it out here. The Eastern East Pacific. I think that would be shot. Let's try that. And yep, there it is. Sitting off the coast of Mexico, and it looks like it's moving mostly northward or northwestward. And I haven't even looked to see what they're forecasting with this, so we'll come back to it in a little bit. Should we check out the tropics? In the meantime, on the radar tonight, in the northeast, some scattered showers up in Maine. The radar's not hardly active. I mean, there are just a couple of blips here and there through New York State, New Jersey, and in Pennsylvania. Far less than yesterday. And of course, nothing on the radar at all. The Mid-Atlantic, the Southeast, in Florida, it's just bone dry, quiet. Oh, come on, guy. Ugh, my hand is just like out of control. Pretty much everybody east of the Mississippi, not showing much. Some rain showers across North Dakota and back into Montana. We've got some heavy rain coming in to coastal Washington and moving eastward. But no major storms around, and I don't think the system for the weekend qualifies as anything major. I mean, it will get strong when it gets up into northern New England and eventually up into eastern Canada, and I might get a little bit on the gusty side here wind-wise. I think Saturday night and especially during the day on Sunday.
Yeah, I would agree. I wouldn't be surprised if we had winds on Sunday gusting past 30 miles an hour. And I heard some forecasters allude to 40-mile-per-hour or more gusts, but I'm not quite sure yet if that would be the case. But yeah, the gradient is going to tighten over the Northeast on Sunday, so that would indicate that we're going to be looking at rather breezy conditions, if not windy conditions, here for the second half of the upcoming weekend.
The Storm Prediction Center, Joe, no organized severe thunderstorms are forecast. 2 small areas of general thunderstorms, southwest New Mexico, southeast Arizona, and covering much of North Dakota and a small portion of northwestern South Dakota. And then for tomorrow, here's doesn't happen. We don't get a day like this too often, but they do happen. No thunderstorms are forecast anywhere in the United States. So SPC can put their feet up tomorrow and take the day off. And then as we move on to day 3, which is Thursday into Friday, we've got a finger of possible convection across Louisiana, Mississippi, northeastward up into Kentucky and southern Indiana, but that's just a small area, and also in southernmost Florida. Otherwise, the rest of the country is pretty quiet. Now, with respect to rainfall, WPC weather prediction folks, they're going for about a half an inch. I think that's fair. Northeast PA, the eastern half of New Jersey, north and east, some heavier rains, maybe an inch plus in Vermont, and inch and a half plus in parts of New Hampshire and a good chunk of the state of Maine, and on up into New Brunswick. Not seeing big precip amounts elsewhere up and down the Appalachians. Yes, with the cold front that's approaching. Parts of central Texas into central Oklahoma, a half an inch to about an inch. Precip up and down the Rockies on the order of as little as a quarter of an inch to some patches of an inch plus, and also up in the Pacific Northwest where it's mostly a half an inch to an inch with heavier rains indicated further north when you get on the Canada side, up in British Columbia. October is not exactly known for major storms, major non-tropical storms anyway. It's not even really that known for major hurricanes, although they have happened in the month of October, but they're not happening this October.
And the chairman hitting super chat, and he says a new favorite town for the lowest temperature in the lower 48, Angel Fire, New Mexico, 16 degrees for a third day in a row. So he introduced us, Joe, last week, or was it the week before, to Peter Sinks in Utah.
Yes.
Now he has come up with a new place for cold temperatures, and that again is Angel Fire, New Mexico, which got all the way down to 16 degrees. There's one thing on the chat board I didn't understand, and I think it was from or posted by William Jersey Shore, who said something to the effect like 20. He said 24 here in Belmar. I said it couldn't possibly be that cold in Belmar, New Jersey.
Must be a typo.
It must be, because I certainly there's no way that you can get down that cold, around here. But I don't know what that meant. But yeah, 16 degrees in Angel Fire, New Mexico, this morning.
Wow.
For the third day in a row, I might add.
Well, I can tell you it's been cold up heat down here in the mornings. And I'm at 2,200 feet. I was in the upper 30s. I happened to check Brasstown Bald, which is less than it's not Georgia's highest peak at just under 5,000 feet, and they were 33 this morning at 7 o'clock when I checked. I don't know if that was their low temperature or not. I have to tell you, Joe, it's dark here until after 7:30 in the morning. I mean, it's yeah, it's I wish we had already gone to standard time, because it pretty by the time we get to the first weekend in November, sunrise here is going to be close to 8 o'clock.
Right, thanks to the fact that the dum-dums in Washington, who some years back extended daylight time into November, thanks to them, the darkest part of the year now is not early January when we're in the midst of wintertime. The darkest part of the year now is on the day or days leading up to the end of daylight time, when you've got these places that are remaining dark. As you pointed out, Joe. I mean, here it's sunrise will be at like 7:35, and you're already past that from what you just said, right?
Right. William Jersey Shore says just have daylight saving time near. It's daylight saving time, by the way, not savings. Daylight saving time year round, and end the nonsense. No, just have standard time year round, and I'll deal with the nonsense of early sunsets as opposed to late sunrises. That's my never to be humble opinion.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. We should stay on standard time year round. There's at least one state out of the contiguous 48 that does have some sort of logic to all of this, and that's Arizona. Arizona stays on standard time all through the course of the year. And,
right. They become part of the West Coast time zone when they're on standard time, or I'm sorry, when they're on daylight time. Right? Am I getting that right? Yeah. So they would go to when they're standard time when they go to daylight saving time.
They don't.
Arizona doesn't. So they'll have the same time as it is in California. But then when they go back the West Coast goes back to standard time, then Arizona's in mountain time.
Mountain time, that's correct.
Okay. Getting too old for this stuff. It gets just damn. All right, so I want to just kind of take a look at the upper air, because a few people were getting bent out of shape because we were going to have a ridge next week for a couple of days, and there were model runs that were trying to make it seem like it was going to be 5 or 6 days, and one of the things I always try to remember in a weather pattern that's persistent, and you heard me say this often enough, the trend is your friend. and it's unusual to have a stretch that long. And indeed, now that we gotten a couple of days closer, models are picking up on another shortwave for the end of next week. Now that's in the long term, but in the meantime, you can see the upper trough in the eastern part of the United States. It's set up on Sunday, and now we're into Monday and Tuesday, and we still got some troughing here, but the axis of the trough is now moved to the east. And while there's some troughing that remains from New Jersey south into Florida, the bulk of the energy is going out. So it should mean for a better day tomorrow. And then the next trough is dropping down with a cutoff low there in Iowa by Thursday. So we'll be okay. But then this trough swings eastward. You see it here. It kind of goes negative too and cuts off. You know, one thing with this negative NAO, by the way, which is I didn't address the map when it was up there. It's still negative here on today's forecast. It's coming off this 2 standard deviation negative from 2 days ago, and then it goes to less than 1 in another day or two. Then it drops back down to more than 1 standard deviation negative over the weekend. So I think that kind of, this cold front's going to have a wave that's going to develop somewhere in North Carolina, and then that wave's going to shoot north or northeast or pop, redevelop or center jump east-northeast on Saturday. So it's got, it's kind of taking a bit more of a southerly track as opposed to, say, taking just a plain old cold front straight through. It doesn't make a difference in terms of the outcome of the weather, but I'm just noting that we're seeing a lot of this. We saw it with the system over the weekend. We're seeing it here where things are showing up where the models are trying to take things further north, and they seem to be wanting to go a little bit further to the south. So whether that's a long-term trend or not, I don't know. But the NAO does stay negative, although it's not very negative for the next 2 weeks. But it's very persistent. I mean, ever since around the 12th or 13th of September, we've been in this negative NAO pattern. And every day that goes by that we see this NAO staying there is an argument that this might be something that could be part of a longer term trend. Not that it's going to be negative every waking minute from now until next April, but that it might be telling us, because if you go back to June, I mean, it was negative for most of the summer. You got a small pop positive in late August, early first part of September. Then it goes negative again. So it's been negative most of the time in the last 4 months. So I think this is this may be something that may go for a while. As we start to get closer to November and December.
Well, the trend is your friend, and this is the way it's trending. I will say that the Climate Prediction Center, the CPC, is indicating that for their 6 to 10 and also their 8 to 14 day outlook along the Atlantic seaboard, that the probability of precipitation is going to be below normal, indicating that there may be a stretch of dry weather. What we're looking at for Friday and Saturday, that might be the last time we'll see any kind of significant quote unquote rain or shower activity here until the end of the month. So, and that would be welcome, I think, because the water table, thanks to the second wettest September on record and the wet weather we had already in early October, the water table is still quite high and needs to lower. And in order to lower it, you need a stretch of dry weather. And we just may be getting that as we move past this weekend. So let's hope.
Well, let's hope. In the meantime, you see the cutoff on Sunday and the trough sitting in New England, and that justifies the deepening low. Also, if you look on the lower right, the GFS is picking up on a tropical system there that passes northeast of the Leeward Islands on this model, and then eventually gets caught up in those strong west-southwest winds in the Atlantic. So that's not going to be a bother for the East Coast with a deep trough in the eastern part of the United States for the first part of next week. I think the first half of next week, Monday, Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday, will probably be on the cool side of normal. And then when we get to next Thursday into Friday, we do get a bit of a ridge here. But the ridge now, instead of building, say, up in the Ohio Valley, as was indicated, is now a lot weaker and much further south. So we do get some ridging for a couple of days, Thursday and next Friday. So that maybe argues that the temperatures might warm up a little bit. But then there's a short wave that's sweeping around in Canada. Nothing really extraordinary here. So that might actually bring a front through late next week. And then we get back into like a weak ridge position after that. Then comes more troughing as we move into right to Halloween. Looks like a stronger trough is dropping into the eastern part of the United States, and the model also wants to build some blocking back into in the Atlantic along 40 degrees north all the way up into Greenland. So we're kind of, again, this is sort of like a pause, maybe a slight pause in the primary pattern, if you want to call it that, and then the model just sort of flexes and it comes back, in a relatively big way as we move into the first days of November. This is not a warm look for the Northeast anyway, for the first days of November, if it verifies.
Yeah, and again, it looks like a drier than normal pattern, hopefully, and that's certainly something that we could use. And really, Joe, I think what we're looking at over the weekend, maybe sometime between now and Friday, we'll get some model runs that will have kind of a teleconnection between two separate systems, that cold front and offshore, low pressure system getting together and blowing up. Maybe that's why some were alluding to, or some were thinking about maybe a nor'easter. But it looks like, unlike recent weeks, and I agree with WPC, doesn't look like we're going to see all that much in the precipitation department. Maybe, just maybe, up to an inch in a few spots, but I think we'll probably see in many areas less than an inch of precip, although it'll be spread out, unfortunately, from Friday into at least the first half of the weekend. So
Yeah.
that'll make for what I would call that, an indifferent weather pattern for those who had any outdoor plans. Like my son, for example, who said, well, Lisa, my daughter-in-law, Lisa and I wanted to go apple picking one more time, and we haven't been able to do that on Saturdays. And it looks like you're not going to be able to do it on Saturday this coming weekend either, Joseph.
I guess not. Low pressure on Wednesday sits in Minnesota with a little swirl of showers and maybe a heavier shower here and there, but again, nothing much really to write home about here. Much of the country actually going to have a very quiet Wednesday, and then Thursday you see a couple of bands of showers moving around a low in the Great Lakes, and that's with the next cold front. Gradually, some Atlantic moisture does get involved. So when we get into Friday, there's a low that starts to form near North Carolina, and you got the front pushing eastward. So there's this area of rain and showers that moves northward up the coast Friday morning. Then you got the front approaching, and pressures are going to be low along the Mid-Atlantic coast. So another low develops there early Saturday morning and moves almost straight northward. I don't know that I would call it. I don't think you can call this a nor'easter here, with a surface low that's going to go from east of Elizabeth City and basically going northwest to Cape May and then northeast to Montauk. This is not something that's going to produce prolonged northeast winds or anything along those lines. And then the low goes by Saturday afternoon. The low's at over eastern Long Island. Now, this is the GFS's view of what it thinks the radar is going to look like at 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. And it does have some heavier rain in northern New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, the Catskills, eastern Pennsylvania. Then the low goes up into central Massachusetts. Some rain, the bottom part of this pivots to the coast. And by 7 a.m., it's still showing the back edge of rain at 7 a.m. over Long Island and the Hudson Valley, Connecticut, southeastern New England. Nothing heavy. The heavy rain goes up into northern New England. You see it there over Vermont, if this is right. That's a 979 low. That's over central Massachusetts Saturday evening. And then it goes out to the Gulf of Maine and strengthens, and you could do a million isobars around it. So, you know what? Let's give it another day or two to see how tight the gradient's going to be. I think a lot depends on whether we got a lot of clouds around on Sunday or if it breaks out and goes partly sunny, where you get a little bit of daytime heating and some mixing, where and then the wind picks up, as to whether there'll be big gusts or not. And then after that, as we go into next week, I mean, Monday looks dry. Tuesday looks dry. Wednesday looks dry. Thursday looks dry. Here comes the next cold front. And this was a change from yesterday where it didn't really show anything. But now I've had like 3 runs in a row, and all the models show another front here approaching late next Thursday into early Friday. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of weather with that. And then does it have a dry weekend? Yes, it does, Joe. It's got a dry weekend potentially for next week. Not this coming weekend, but next weekend.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yes, I understand.
William Jersey Shore on the chat board. Joe Rayo, why is one forecaster on the news still calling it a nor'easter? And I'll tell you why. The ratings must be sagging, and they must have had an editorial, meeting saying, so and so, we got to make the weather more exciting, get people more people to watch. So that's probably the reason why. At least I could, and that has happened to me. I mean, when I was at News 12, Joe, and it probably happened to you too. You get the producer walking in and says, "Now, is what we're going to be seeing on Friday a nor'easter?" And then you'll say, "No, not necessarily."
Well, look, I would get the
so and so on channel blank said it's a nor'easter. It's.
Well, why don't you go hire them?
Yeah.
I was never, I was never asked to do something other than what I was going to do. I will say that. I've had those conversations. Is this a nor'easter? Is this or that? And I would explain no or why it isn't and so on. But I never was asked to make it more than make something more than it actually was going to be.
True.
I never was. That once.
Yeah.
All right, the Hurricane Center is watching this disturbance that's east of the Lesser Antilles. They now have indicated that it is showing signs of organization. Environmental conditions are expected to remain conducive for gradual development. A depression is likely to form in the next day or two, which is what the GFS is picking up on. Blah, blah, blah. Interest in the Leeward Islands should monitor the progress of the system. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's that. And maybe I can bring up let's see if they got a shot, which they do. I just have to find it. Let's go to the tropical Atlantic. Take a look at what the tropical Atlantic has to offer us. And then we can come back to just quickly try. So that's this mess that you see out here. It doesn't look particularly that organized, if you ask me. But no one's asked.
So what are we up to now?
T.
That system develops. It would be the T storm.
T. Tammy.
Tammy.
They should name it Tammy Faye. But yeah, it looks still pretty disorganized as far as what I can see here. But you know what? It might not be as disorganized tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. And as far as Tropical Storm Norma, it has just developed into a tropical storm. And it's at 13.2 north, 107.3 west, moving west-northwest at 10. The satellite looked like it was moving more north-northwest, but I was just doing it by eyeball. And it's actually forecast to become a hurricane and turn northward and head for the southern tip of the Baja Peninsula, Joe, Cabo San Lucas, perhaps, by Sunday. They're not making it a major hurricane. Okay, but the last one wasn't supposed to be a major hurricane, and at the last minute it got up to a Category 4. They take this to 95 knots, so it's just short of a Cat 3. By the time we get to 72 hours, and then by the time it's on the coast there near Cabo San Lucas, it's a 85 knots gusting to 100. I'm sorry, 85 knots or 100 mile an hour hurricane. So we've got a few days to see what comes of that, but that's out on the other side of Mexico, and I don't know that we have any viewers. Maybe we do have some viewers in Cabo San Lucas. You never know. So we'll monitor this.
And William Huber, I don't get a water bill. I have a well, so nobody bills me for my water. Joe Ray, your water bill has to be low, not watering the lawn.
I have a well, but it's maintained by the water company. So I get a bill. But they don't. It's not metered, Joe. So it's $33 a month whether I use a drink a glass of water or flood the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's just a $33 a month maintenance charge that they bill me on. Leon Pravitsky just hit super chat. Thank you, Leon. So I mentioned this to you last night at the end of the show. Boy, it seems like they're dropping like flies the last couple of days. Um, we lost Phyllis Coates. Those of you who don't know who Phyllis Coates is, and Joe and I have a disagreement about this. There were in the Superman series with George Reeves from the 1950s. There were two Lois Lanes. One was played by Phyllis Coates in the first season, and then Noel Neill played is the one that everybody remembers. She was the Lois Lane after that. I kind of liked Phyllis Coates better. She was, she was much more aggressive and
Phyllis Coates was the woman, was the Lois Lane, where if, for example, a couple of gangsters kidnapped her or whatever, and they started asking her questions, she would say something to the effect like that. No, I'm not going to tell you anything. Get the heck out, right?
Or in the episode where she's held hostage by the guy that wired himself with explosives. Remember that one, Joe?
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. And they had a dummy head of Superman for some, I don't know. They had like a sculpture that was supposed to be for something, and they used that and George Reeves as Clark Kent recorded the voice the words on the tape recorder. No comment until the time limit is up.
Right.
Right. And that at the end when Superman rescues Lois Lane, she goes up to the guy that was tied up to the explosives, and I never forgot this. She goes up to him and she says, "Now it's my turn to blow up," and she slapped him right across the face.
And she was also in the two-part episode, The Mole Men. Remember?
Yes.
The
man
who came from underground or whatever. And the Mole Men, they had their secret weapon. There was a giant vacuum cleaner with a funnel.
Right.
Superman and it's bouncing off the big S. He's saying, "Go away, go in peace.
Yes,
no one will harm
you." Oh God! So that was Phyllis Coates. I think she was like 96 or 97. And then Mark Goddard, or Major West on Lost in Space.
Yeah.
Died, and he was the one that wanted to take Dr. Smith and just basically cast him off into outer space and just send him adrift. And he couldn't he just wanted to get rid of him. And he was gone. And then today, and I was really sad about this today. I didn't realize how sad I was going to be. Lara Parker, who played Angelique on Dark Shadows, she died today. She was 85, and it's funny because I was binge watching Dark Shadows a couple of months ago, and I got to the point where they introduced the Angelique character, and she started to be really evil, and I could not watch it anymore. Something was bothering me about watching her, being so evil. And I don't mean that in a negative way in terms of the character, because I was a Dark Shadows fan. I actually went to one of the Dark Shadows annual conventions that they had one year. They had it at in Times Square on a weekend when I was working. So I had a 4-hour dinner break, so I went down and I actually met some of the actors. I met John Carlin, and David Selby was there. So it was really cool. But she was not there, and I'm sorry that she wasn't, because I was a big I was a big Angelique groupie, and I was saddened by her passing.
And who played the blonde on Lost in Space?
Oh, Marta Creston.
And she, wasn't there, I think, 1 or 2 episodes where there was the illusion that Major West had a thing for her.
Yeah, there was always this sort of electricity between her and Major West, but with a Mark Goddard character. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
What was it? What was it on the show? Because we
What's
know Angela Cartwright was Penny.
right?
Judy.
Judy was the character name, and it was
Right.
played by Marta Creston.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a long time ago. So that leaves, well, the three kids are still around, and June Lockhart, who I think just turned 98 this year.
Unbelievable.
You know, and she looks great. She looks terrific. So she's still there. She's still
There
around.
are very few actors or actresses that are not painted into a corner, so to speak, by one singular role. She was, of course, Timmy's mother on Lassie. Then she moved on to Lost in Space and played Maureen there, Guy Williams' wife. And then after that, she moved to Petticoat Junction
Right.
and played Janet Craig. And am I wrong, or is there an actual flower or plant named Janet Craig?
Wait a minute. Yes, there is. I think there is. I seem to remember reading about that. There's another actress that has a rose named after her. I can't remember now who it is. But yeah, so and she did a lot of, she would show up on shows in the 70s, crime dramas on the 70s and 80s. She also, because everybody, I don't know if everybody I'm sure everybody has seen the various versions of the Christmas Carol, but she's in the one that she's in. Her father, Gene Lockhart, plays, help me.
Gene Lockhart played Cratchit, Bob Cratchit.
Bob Cratchit, and her mother, Gene Lockhart's wife, Kathleen Lockhart, played Mrs. Cratchit. So, and June Lockhart at the time was maybe about 9 or 10 years old. Right. So that was cool. She's also in, what's the Judy Garland movie? What's the name? What's the title of it? With Margaret O'Brien. Oh, Meet Me in St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Meet Me in St. Louis. So she's in that movie. So and then there's various movies along the way that she did.
They usually play that movie around Easter time.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, this is what happens when we don't have major storms around, folks.
Chairman has hit Super Chats a second time and has mentioned that Mother Briller had a fall.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
She was fell. She was in a hospital, but she's now home and recovering, and we're very happy to hear about that.
All right, good, because she still has to work on her triple axel. All right, Scott, give her our best. Do you have Briller Jeopardy?
I don't think so.
I don't think I have it either. Scott said something about tomorrow.
Oh yes. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to have. I think he said
Seinfeld.
A Cheers themed.
Oh, was it Cheers? Oh, okay.
I think it's
Cheers. It's another show I didn't watch. I was not into like Friends and Cheers and those shows. The Frasier. I didn't watch any of those shows.
By the way, on the CBS network tonight, there are a couple of new episodes of Frasier that I didn't know that they were reviving that show, but apparently, if you watch tonight, I think, and they're at weird times too. I think the first episode is going to be aired at 9:15.
Oh, you know what? There's nothing. There's nothing new or creative that's on any of the major networks. Anything that's new and creative, they're all on either. They're all mostly on Netflix or on Amazon Prime. I have Amazon Prime. I do not have Netflix. I'm not a big TV watcher like I used to be. But I'm still sad about Lara Parker.
Oh well,
it just was very sad. So
Mr. Briller does alert me to the fact that yes, I do have Briller Jeopardy, and in fact, I am just opened up my Facebook Messenger, and sure enough, he is correct.
All right, well then let's play.
Well, there you go. I didn't know that. Thank you, Scott. All right, so mixed bag Briller Jeopardy tonight. First question is, what two states in the contiguous United States?
In the contagious United States.
United States. Which two states in the 48 states does not have Amtrak service. Which two states does Amtrak not service?
Really? Well, I'll say Hawaii is one.
No, well, we're talking about the
Oh,
contiguous
all right. The
48
contagious United States.
states
So
United
there were
States.
two states it doesn't serve, and I'm just trying to visualize. I'm trying to visualize here. Um, boy, that's. I mean, they run railroads. I'm just trying to think of like Delaware, which there's not a big state. I know they have railroad tracks there, but I don't know if there's a. I got to imagine there's a train. Still, there's a train stop at Wilmington. I've been on that train. That can't be it. Um, can't be Rhode Island, so that's not it. Um,
Well, we have Dennis Cassius says Arizona. Wrong. Frank Scalera says Colorado and Montana. And oh my God, I think I lost. Did I lose the questions? No, I didn't. No, Colorado, Montana, no, not on the list.
what about Idaho and Utah?
Idaho and Utah, no, they have service.
All right. Nevada?
Nevada has service.
Really? Boy, this is really weird. It's hard for me to envision a state that doesn't have service. Is it in the Northeast? Is it in the South? Is it in the West?
It's in the High Plains.
It's in the High Plains. How about North Dakota?
How about North Dakota? No. North Dakota has service.
Well, how about South Dakota?
South Dakota, on the other hand, doesn't.
Really? That's interesting. South Dakota doesn't. Well, then High Plains leaves Nebraska and Wyoming.
So choose. Which of the two do you think?
Well, I can't imagine that they don't have a train going to Omaha. I'll say Wyoming.
And you're right. You're right. Who
Oh,
would
okay.
go? That's the way it is.
Patrick Darcy said Wyoming too, and Christinapedia said South Dakota.
Right. And Dave Carter and Leon Pravitsky both said Wyoming.
All right. Well, let's go to the next question. That was interesting.
Yes. Which TV series showed the very first interracial kiss?
Interracial kiss. I probably should know this.
Rich Rothmansky, you got it. Star Trek. A lot of people got it.
Oh, that's right. Yes. With Lieutenant Uhura
and Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk, right.
Yeah. So what was the first country outside of the United States, Joe, that Starbucks opened a store?
What country outside of the United States where Starbucks opened a store?
Yes.
Well, I know they have a lot of stores in China, but I'm thinking that they probably opened one somewhere else before they opened one in China.
Everybody's coming up with all kinds of, Italy, France, Italy.
Great Britain,
no, the UK, Canada. Scott says Russia. Robert Hill says Hagerstown, Maryland.
Hagerstown, Maryland. Well, that's about as out of the country as you can get. No offense to the folks. No offense to our huge viewership in Hagerstown.
Patrick Darcy,
I've been to Hagerstown, by the way.
All those who said Japan, you are correct.
Correct. Oh, okay. Yeah. Japan. That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay, next.
What color is the X in FedEx ground?
Oh, that's like one of those questions of something that you see all the time, but you never. Is it blue?
No.
Red?
No, but Keith James got it. Keith James II, green.
Green. Oh, I was going to say cerulean, but I didn't think that would be on the list. Go on.
Multiple choice. What year was McDonald's founded? A, 1945, B, 1955, C, 1965, D, 1975.
Well, because the original sold the recipe and the restaurants to was it what's his name? Roy Mack
Rock.
Kroc, right?
Right.
Um, so it's either 55 or 65. I'll say 65.
Well, you're wrong. It was 55.
55. Okay.
Dave Carter, Tom Clams, Ms. Spallerite, Keith James II, Gina Pendleton said 65. No, wrong. Matthew Howe, 1955. Robert Hill, a question mark. Gadsby's Weather Show, 02. But no, 1955 is the correct answer.
All right.
And by the way, Christopedia, Kroc was spelled with a K, not with a C.
Right.
So, but
is that the last question?
That was the last question.
All right, so I got a question for you.
Yes.
And you actually will probably be surprised about this, but who played the first divorced character on television?
The first divorced character?
Yes. And you're going to be very surprised. You're going to be surprised with the answer in a lot of ways, and in some ways you won't be surprised. But who played the first divorced character? I'll give you a hint. It's a sitcom. Okay.
I don't know. Doris Day.
No, not Doris Day. It's a sitcom.
Well, I mean, Felix Unger.
It was an actress, so it was a divorced woman.
Shirley Booth.
No, it wasn't Shirley Booth, but okay. She was in a sitcom in the 50s.
A sitcom in the 50s. Boy, the hard part about this is that there's so few shows that are still being televised from the 1950s. Gale Storm.
No. Let me put it this. Let me give it this way. Well, let me look at here. Bonnie Franklin, no. Civilian Warrior. Again, the chairman Scott Briller got it, Joe. Vivian Vance. Vivian Vance, with the 1960, 62 or 63, when Lucille Ball came back on CBS with the Lucy Show.
Yeah.
So Vivian Vance's character, Vivian Bagley, was divorced, and she had custody of her son. And there were references a number of times in the 3 years that she did the show. Then she left, but in those 3 years that she did the show, there were references at times where she says that her husband's got, is taking Sherman, who was her kid, was taking Sherman for the weekend.
Right.
So yeah, she played the first divorced woman on television.
That's amazing.
Yep, that was.
And Bella Lugosi says, "Poor Fred."
Right, exactly. Well, they didn't exactly get along professionally, but that's a whole other story for another day.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we pretty much covered it tonight, so we're going to wrap it up. That's right, Patrick Darcy, Vivian Bagley. So we're going to wrap it up tonight. Thanks, everybody, for being here. The Joe and Joe Weather Show, as it is every night, brought to you by our affiliate, Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this video. If you make a purchase, use the coupon code IWantAWeatherStation, because deep down inside you do. Or you might want to give it to somebody for Christmas, especially some science-minded kid. In which case, if you use that coupon code, Joe Drayo will tell you what you'll get.
You'll get 10% off, and you'll also get custody. You'll also get custody of
Sherman. Yes. Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125. Your go-to source for salt. They are Long Island's largest Long Island's largest rock salt source. They have the best prices in town, and the website is
OmniTrueValue.com. And I want to just thank Christopedia, who more than once uh, said that she really enjoyed the talk I gave last night after our special 6 o'clock show. And also, we have 2 super chat hits from the chairman tonight. And we hope that Mother Briller is going to be doing okay. And Leon Probitsky, thank you for hitting super chat tonight as well.
Bella Lugrissi. I love that. I love people who kind of use their heads and come up with like really clever online names. Bella Lugrissi is one of the best ones. I love that. And yes, thank you for the kind words too that you just posted on the chat board. Most appreciated. William Jersey Shore says lower your prices, Joe. Do you know what that's in reference to? Which Joe?
I have no idea.
No idea. Neither do I. Back to the Jersey Shore, William.
I'm still wondering about his earlier comment about 24 in Belmore.
Who knows? Who knows? All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow. And again, a reminder: there will be no show this Sunday, so just mark that down. There will be no show this Sunday. All right, and we'll see you tomorrow. Nighty night.
Nighty night, folks.